Have you realized that Chelsea has gradually lost its traditional identity and been swept into an endless spiral? The root cause? It's not just a question for the fans, but a wake-up call for an entire system teetering on the edge of oblivion. Let's join Stonestories as we delve into the darkest corners of a name that once made all of Europe bow its head. Some empires don't collapse because of external enemies, but because of internal waves pulling them apart. Chelsea, once a dominant force in English football, once feared by the likes of Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Barcelona, now staggers like a giant with amnesia. In the summer of 2021, Chelsea stood at the pinnacle of Europe after a convincing win over Manchester City in the Champions League final. Thomas Tuchel was the architect of that great triumph, a sharp tactician, a united squad, and a future that seemed bright. But that was also the last moment Chelsea truly was itself. A chapter of glory closed, and pages of chaos began to unfold. The departure of Roman Abramovich, triggered by geopolitical turbulence, was like pulling the heart out of a well-oiled machine. To Abramovich, football was a passion. To Todd Boehly, football is an investment opportunity. The American came to Stamford Bridge like an NFL team owner, aggressive, bold, unafraid to break limits. Over £1 billion spent in just 2 years, an absurd, unprecedented figure in Premier League history. Chelsea bought players as if building a superhero universe. From Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Mudryk, Nkunku, to Huxon, each name a statement of power. But when you line them up, there's no system, just a group of talented individuals playing solo. Chelsea spent money as if they could fast-track a 10-year project into 10 months. But football isn't a game of numbers, it's an art of cohesion. Chelsea's current squad is a collection of expensive raw gems, but no one seems to have the time to polish them. Without a clear philosophy, each transfer becomes a mismatched puzzle piece. Some players fit a possession-based style, others thrive on counterattacks. The result, Chelsea plays with no specific style and can't commit to a long-term direction. What they lack isn't money, but ideas and time to turn those ideas into results. Since Tuchel's departure, Chelsea has felt like a shuffled deck of cards. Graham Potter arrived with huge expectations, left with a forgettable legacy. Frank Lampard, once a hero, now just a fading note. Mauricio Pochettino, experienced and tactical, but still couldn't escape the Stamford Bridge curse. And now, Enzo Maresca, a new gamble, riskier than ever. Each coach brings a new philosophy, new hopes, and a fresh rebuilding plan. But just months later, they're gone, not even having time to unpack their suitcase. When you keep changing the captain during a storm, the ship can't possibly find its course, even if it's $1 billion yacht. Chelsea used to have warriors. Terry, Lampard, Drogba, Essien, Azpilicueta. They didn't just play football, they carried the soul of the club. Today, Chelsea signs young talents on 7 to 8-year deals, with high wages and secured futures. But what isn't written in the contract is the hunger to win, the sense of responsibility, and the grit in tough moments. Where's the captain yelling at his defense? Where are the fierce last-minute tackles in stoppage time? Today's players may be faster, stronger, more technical, but there's one thing they can't be taught at any academy: the unbreakable spirit in Chelsea's DNA. Chelsea now resembles an overgrown child, physically mature, but mentally unprepared for hardship. The number 10 shirt, once a symbol worn by Joe Cole, Eden Hazard, is now handed to players who have never completed a full top-level season. They're not just carrying a number, but the weight of expectations, pressure, and memories of millions of fans. British media is ruthless and unforgiving. One bad game can turn a rising star into a flop overnight. And Chelsea, in the midst of rebuilding, chose to place the entire burden on these young shoulders. Meanwhile, Chelsea fans still live in the memories of Mourinho, Ancelotti, Drogba, Hazard, and demand instant results. They're not used to patience. They don't love projects, they love victory. And so, every player, every coach, every match becomes a hostage of pressure. Chelsea now is like a machine hastily assembled from expensive parts, but without a master blueprint. A big club cannot thrive only in the finance department. It must have an identity, something that every player understands when they arrive. This is Chelsea. We fight not for money, but for pride. So where is the way out? What Chelsea has lost is not just form, it's themselves. Chelsea isn't weak. They're just being swallowed by their own reflection. There is still time. There is still money. The fans are still here. Nothing is too late. If action starts now, an empire can lose its way. But when Chelsea finds its soul again, all of Europe will have to listen once more. When do you think Chelsea truly started losing its identity? Was it Abramovich's departure, the soulless transfers, or the gradual erosion of belief after every disappointing season? Share your perspective in the comments, because in football, every fan holds a piece of memory and insight that no tactic can replace. If this article resonated with you, don't hesitate to leave a like. It's your way of fueling us to keep telling honest, emotional stories. And if you love behind-the-scenes narratives and deeply felt analyses like this one, follow Stonestories so you won't miss any upcoming articles where football is more than a match.